It's Tuesday, the 1st of May, 2018, and this is your EV News Daily. Well, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you're listening around the world. A very warm welcome from London in the UK. And here is today's news about electric cars and the future of transport. My name is Martin Lee, and I go through every EV article online so you don't have to. Coming up on the show today, a Model 3 acceleration test on the unlimited speed of the German Autobahns, and SF Motors taking on new facilities in California. But first of all, both of the BMW i-Series cars, the i3 and the i8, are unique in terms of having nothing obvious to compare them to. And when I say both i-Series cars, maybe I should say three, because the BMW i3 now has the BMW i3S. It's lower, it's wider, and it's a bit more squirty. And if I'm going to do that, well, I should probably say four models, actually, because the BMW i8 is now in Roadster form. It's an updated car with a missing roof for the full-on wind in your hair / wind in your bald patch effect. Well, as first seen at the LA Motor Show in 2017, we now know what it's like behind the wheel. You know, it's interesting, some days I get a slew of articles all drop at the same time, and it normally means a car maker has had an embargo on magazines running their reviews before a certain date and time. They all agree not to say anything until they're ready. So I think it must have been yesterday with the i8 Roadster. Let's take a look at my favourite reviews that I read. I picked out some highlights from my favourite three. BMW BLOG, always brilliant to read, by the way, say that the 3-cylinder, 1.5-litre turbocharged petrol engine remains untouched, mated to an electric motor and a 6-speed automatic gearbox. The motor powers the rear wheels, an electric motor powers the front wheels, giving it some real-time torque vectoring all-wheel drive. The capacity of the lithium-ion battery has been increased. It's now 34 amp-hours instead of 20. That's a gross energy capacity of 11.6 kilowatt-hours, up from 7.1. We know BMW are very keen on using their ampere-hours measurements. The rest of the world likes their kilowatt-hours. It does allow an increased electric-only driving range from 20 to 33 miles, depending on how you drive it. Well, AutoExpress say that in the 4 years since BMW launched its i8 Coupe, the company sold 13,000 examples of the carbon-tubbed petrol-electric hybrid. Well, that improved battery range is instantly noticeable, they say. Whereas in the original Coupe, the electric motor could be sidelined by the turbocharged petrol engine, now the electrified elements of the powertrain are far more willing and able to take you on longer and quicker duties. And the legendary Evo magazine, all about high-performance cars. I've spent way too much money on buying Evo magazine over the years. And they say that away from the battery cell improvements, the big tech change to the i8 Roadster is in the car's structure, in turning it from a coupe to a convertible. With the roof down, the electric motors are all but mute in the coupe, now gain a voice, and admittedly a bit of a whiny voice. If you're a sci-fi fan, you'll think you're an extra in Tron, as the sound intensifies as the speed increases. If you've ever been to a Formula E race, and you should give one a go, it's not far off the noise that the current gen single-seaters make when accelerating out of slow corners. Talking of which, another benefit of the larger capacity battery cells in the i8 Roadster, you can now happily drive under electric power up to 75 miles an hour, say Evo. So there you have it. Do you want one? Yeah, me too. That'll be £125,000, please. I won't even bother with the conversion to US dollars because I always mess it up with taxes and VAT, and I will get somebody tweet me or email me and say, no, you got it completely wrong. I've done it with the iPace, and they were like, you know what, that's just the worst conversion ever. So I'll keep it in pounds. You get the idea. You need to be making bank to pop down BMW and buy one. You could have a Jag F-Type for $7,000 less. You could have a Mercedes-AMG GT Roadster for a mere $111,000. But don't be cheap. Go big. Get a proper fast EV hybrid. I'll put links to my favourite articles in the show notes. Well, a Tesla enthusiast from Germany has taken the Model 3 on the Autobahn to observe the acceleration and high-speed performance of the compact electric car, reports Teslarati. The top speed reached was 130 miles an hour. And of course, done legally, as you can on certain stretches of the German roads. It's not all of the Autobahn, but there's bits of it where there's no speed limits. It was Tesla Marcus, that's his YouTube channel name, who live streamed it over the weekend, actually. Now, he did observe the acceleration was not quite on par with the Model S, but let's face it, Model S, when you really go hard, it's more than most people will need / can handle in a car. But hey, the price also isn't Model S price. Now, I'll put a link to the Teslarati article in the show notes, as it's only fair to send traffic to them, as it's where I saw the story, but they link through to the video if you want to watch it. I think the most interesting thing about it, actually, is the repeated attempts, the hard acceleration, with no sign of any kind of throttling of the performance. Well, moving on, and there's nothing better than seeing announcements turned into reality, and new companies making a go of it. The thing that Elon says nobody should ever try, and that is launching an automotive company. One of those that we're following closely is SF Motors, and today they announced the opening of a new R&D facility in McCarthy Creekside. It's California. Any of our Californian listeners know it? Drop me a line. Let me know. What's it like? Is it a Silicon Valley hub, or is it out in the middle of nowhere? The company currently has R&D facilities in Santa Clara in California, Ann Arbor, Michigan, and Stuttgart in Germany. Now, the company's CTO, Yifan Tang, is going to oversee the R&D and the low-volume manufacturing at the 130,000 square foot facility. He says, adding to our existing R&D labs, this new facility will conduct extensive design validation testing and low-volume manufacturing necessary to ensure smooth transition to mass production of our batteries and electric powertrains, which are the key components of our vehicles, says Tang. And he continues, and I quote, drawing on our global business model and decades of manufacturing experience, locating this facility near our Silicon Valley headquarters will strategically ensure quality and efficiency as we prepare to bring our intelligent EVs to market, end quote. Oh, well, there we go. Maybe it is in Silicon Valley. Hey, look, I'm the other side of the world to California, so I rely on our West Coast listeners correcting me / informing me. Well, a reminder, they're targeting 200,000 units per year, but what I didn't manage to find, I'm sure it's in an old article somewhere, when they want to get to 200,000 units. In context, if you look at if you compare it to Tesla, so the established Model S and X lines, what will they do? 60,000 units this year, do you reckon? Obviously, they'll be dwarfed by Model 3 when it's running at full pelt. So anyway, that's their target, 200,000 a year. Well, here in the UK, electric vehicle charging company InstaVolt is making its rapid charging stations completely free to use for the entire month of May as a celebration of the company's 100th charger going live. InstaVolt charging stations are available to use on a pay-as-you-go basis with no subscription or membership required. Drivers simply tap your contactless credit or debit card, you charge up and you go. There's no minimum spend. There's no connection fee. The charges are quick. And this month, if you want your free charge to celebrate, the little celebration they're doing, all you got to do is start your charge as normal by tapping your card, but you will not be billed. And it is unlimited uses through the month. Now, this quote from the InstaVolt CEO, he's a guy called Tim Payne. He says this: the UK needs a solid public charging infrastructure, and we're working at a rate of knots to make that a reality. We are switching on new rapid charging stations every week, and we are thrilled to have hit this important milestone of 100. It's our pleasure to share the celebration with EV drivers across the UK and offer them free charging throughout the month of May, end quote. And I saw one of the tweet comments in a reply to InstaVolt's tweet, which said, "Oh, the way I read this, you're going to start charging in June then." This is why we can't have nice things, you see. They do a nice thing and the internet will respond as the internet always does. Right, moving on. The PSA Group's premium DS brand said that all new models from 2025 will have only full electric or hybrid drivetrains, and it'll present its first battery-electric vehicle at the Paris Auto Show in October. As far as I know, that's the first big announcement for Paris that's going to be shown off. This quote says, "Our ambition is very clear for DS to be among the global leaders in electrified cars in its market." That's the DS CEO Yves Bonnefourt in a press release which we got yesterday. PSA will offer 40 electrified models across 5 brands. That is Peugeot, Citroën, Opel, Vauxhall and DS worldwide by 2025, the CEO Carlos Tavares told Automotive News World Congress at the start of this year. Now, I've added a link to that press release on the show notes if you want to read the full thing for yourself. It's another big announcement, and time for a reality check. 2025 is 7 years away. 7 years in tech is a lifetime. 7 years ago, the world was a totally different place. And 7 years before that, when you go back 14 years, well, there was no such thing as YouTube. That wasn't launched for another year. There was no such thing as Twitter. Mark Zuckerberg was in his dorm room at Harvard writing code for a website called FaceMash. And that was the website that would be a precursor to the Facebook when Facebook was called the Facebook. So 2025, I mean, look, any announcement's a good announcement. We love it, but wow, the world's going to be crazy nuts in 7 years' time. There's going to be a bazillion Model 3s and Model Ys all over the place. There's going to be Tesla semi-trucks doing your Amazon deliveries. And then DS are going to start having some electrified cars. Yay, double thumbs up to them. But come on, get a move on. Right, moving on. I think that's actually really insulting of me, isn't it? That is just taking like what must be hell for them, like retooling all of their factories and all of their supply chains, and some idiot on a podcast goes, go on, get a move on. I mean it with love. Right, moving on. And today, the US Department of Energy announced a $19 million support for 12 new research projects focused on batteries and vehicle electrification technologies, which enable extreme fast charging. Well, these projects announced today will help advance the DOE's research on batteries and electrification aimed at reducing battery pack cost to under $100 per kilowatt hour and increase the range of the average EV to over 300 miles, charging in less than 15 minutes. The DOE's target to do that by 2028. Wouldn't we all love $19 million US? Although that is split between 12 projects. Look, we're going to hear tomorrow on Tesla's earnings how much they lost in quarter one. If it's in the ballpark of $700 million US, I think that's okay, right? That's a win. So if you want to see what's really at the sharp end of battery R&D, you've got to spend some big money. Right, it's a great headline from Electrek. This is Mercedes-Benz kills its Powerwall killer. And it's sadly true. Whenever anyone launches a product against Tesla, whether it's in the energy space, the car space, the headline writers call it a Tesla killer. I've done it in the past without realizing. The brand new Mercedes S-Class electric equivalent. It's a couple of years away, the EQS. Yeah, I used the K word on that. Oops. Every so often, car companies will look at Tesla and say, anything you can do, we can do better. But they can't. Mercedes-Benz had their own version of the Tesla Powerwall, selling solar and battery packages alongside a company called Vivint. But Green Tech Media got a statement saying this, and I quote, "It's not necessary to have a battery at home. They don't move. They don't freeze. It's over-designed," end quote. And that marks the end of Mercedes-Benz pulling out of the home storage market with this particular project. There might be some more with Second Life batteries and things, but this one's come to an end. Look, maybe it's true what they say about over-designing batteries and things, but it's also woeful. Most other alternatives to a Powerwall, the Mercedes modular system started at 2.5 kilowatt hours. At its smallest capacity, installation started at $5,000, and it's just too much compared to the dollar cost per kilowatt hour of Tesla's Powerwall, which starts at $7,000, yes, and the prices have gone up by a few $100s in the last week, but the base pack is still 14 kilowatt hours. No one can get on a price comparison with that. Well, for the final story today, I'm going to ask you a question. Do you understand blockchain. I mean, like, properly understand it. No, me neither. Using blockchain technology, peer-to-peer networks have established marketplaces which connect EV drivers so they can share charging stations with each other, says Energy Fuse. And they continue that residential and commercial EV owners can make a profit by allowing others to access their chargers, and drivers have the flexibility to charge their vehicles at different locations. Well, companies in banking, finance, insurance, oil trading, utilities, they're all moving to the blockchain, which is the decentralized distributed ledger that records online transactions to improve efficiencies. This quote from the COO of eMotorworks. He's called Preston Roper, and he says this: "It's Airbnb for EV charging." Now, eMotorworks are a California-based firm that focuses on EV charging technologies, and it was the first company in the US to establish a peer-to-peer network in its partnership with Share and Charge. I get how that works. I get Bitcoin. I still don't fully get blockchain and how it enables sharing your charger in a way that you could not share it without the blockchain. I think I sound like those people in the 1990s that didn't get the internet when they went, but what is the internet? Is it a thing? Where's it stored? Oh no, I sound like one of those people. Right, well, I would love to spread the word about electric cars. If you can, please do share the podcast with somebody who might be interested. Blimey, today was a long one, 17 minutes. Sorry about that. You can listen to every previous episode of the podcast, and some of them are shorter, on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, YouTube, TuneIn, Stitcher, now on SoundCloud, and the blog at evnewsdaily.com. Remember to subscribe. It means you haven't got to think about downloading the show every day, and you get it first and free and automatically. And it would mean a lot if you could take 2 minutes, I know you're busy, to rate and review on whatever platform you download us on. Come and say hi on our socials on Facebook, Twitter and LinkedIn. Just search EV News Daily. Have a wonderful day, and I'll catch you tomorrow.